the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When you look at Kelvin Benjamin, guys, he's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end.
It's not the Dallas Cowboys, but it's a start.
You love this. Whoop, and then whoop, and then whoop.
Oh, the Denver Broncos.
Now stay tuned for 6 hours of exciting football action.
Bears trying to cross midfield.
Well, we had an exciting weekend of championship games. Lots to talk about. It's January 29th. It's podcast number 5. Let's break it down, shall we? Hit it.
They called him the Galloping Gazelle. His habitat the frozen tundra of Soldier Field. For 6 seasons and 2 Pro Bowls, he grazed on the tasty green turf of the end zone. Until one fateful Sunday in November, when the Gazelle was stopped in his tracks by a big cat named Wayne Krzyzewski.
Want to come with me and Wally to the Super Bowl?
Oh, absolutely. My favorite team's in it. The Atlanta Falcons.
I'm exhausted.
Straight off the couch.
You know what? I'm exhausted too. That was a long season. We've got a week off, but before we get there, let me bring in my broadcast partner, the ever affable and effervescent Adam Weidel. Adam, how's it going, brother?
How's it going, Terry?
You sound a lot healthier than last week, dude.
Still got the man cold going on, but definitely a lot better than I was. So exciting Sunday for a change.
Yeah, but there was no Saturday. How did you cope with no Saturday football?
I'm having a real hard time with this time of year. After Sunday, all I have, like I said to my wife, all I have to look forward to is a little bit of Pro Bowl fun and one more game, and then that's it. Like this podcast helps fill my time. It's another kind of piece of excitement. But without having 16 games to watch every weekend, it's kind of sad.
Now, how does the wife? Is she happy about not having any football? She might be able to get you to do something around the house, or
Oh no, I still do stuff around the house. She doesn't. She's going to be concerned because I go through my seasonal depression after football season ends. It's like a month of what do I do with myself, and then we get more daylight hours, and it gets nicer outside, and I spend a lot of time out there.
That's the thing, man. The sun's setting so early, and you're just in the house, and football kind of distracts you from that. But
yeah, it definitely helps get through that seasonal depression. We've gone through the shortest daylight hours of the year already, where the days only get longer from December 21st.
Yeah, and we're wow, I just got a news pop-up. It's not sports related, but it's a little shocking. Elon Musk has revealed that the first human to receive a brain implant from Neuralink has been successfully installed.
I don't, yeah. I don't know what to make of that. Skynet's a thing now, I guess.
Well, no. Do you remember the news stories from a few years ago about the state police calling somebody? It was in, I think, California. It was a car theft. The state police called OnStar, and OnStar shut the car down for him. So what? If you don't vote the way Elon likes, he's just going to shut you down?
I actually had a similar situation happen to me last night when when the game was ending. They had a commercial for an Apple product, and they used the secret word for the assistant. I can't say it because we have a lot of Apple products here, but they said, you know her name.
Oh no!
Call emergency services, and my house lit up as saying, "Do you want us to call emergency services?"
Really?
And I was just like, "No, not at all. Please do not." And it was just a commercial. I think it was an OnStar or something similar to that. But yeah, it was
one of my former shows. We used to, hey Alexa, set an alarm for 3:00 in the morning, and I got an email one time about that.
Yeah, Lady A, it doesn't affect this household at all. But the league is sponsored by Apple for the halftime show at Super Bowl, right? So
that brings us to let's talk about this weekend's games. Right out of the box, Sunday afternoon at 2:00 my time. That would be 3:00 your time.
Yeah, started at 3 for the Easterners.
So it was Chiefs at Ravens, and that didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, man.
Like the very dominant Baltimore Ravens, the team that you and I talked about since probably week 6, talking about them in San Francisco. We wouldn't want, if we were any team in the NFL, we wouldn't want to play those teams.
Right.
They seemed like the most complete teams, and out of everybody, we agreed that the Ravens were the scariest.
Yeah, and what happened to them? I mean,
so I have no idea. I mean, like let's give Spags a pat on the back there, the defensive coordinator for Kansas City, because he made Lamar just freeze up and not do anything.
And Lamar, he did not get comfortable at all. He was not comfortable the whole day long. And it wasn't that there was pressure, but it wasn't a pressure he hadn't seen before. But he just they kept coming at him from different angles, and I think that allowed him or didn't allow him to settle into okay, this is the way I need to go with this. They kept changing it up and kept him on his toes.
But he still had 6 to 8 seconds to make a move, and he would just stand there like a deer in the headlights and not do anything. And I was just like, scramble, run, make something happen, get some movement going. And he was just kind of like a statue.
Especially in the second half. The second half was really noticeable. He's back there 8-9 seconds holding the ball. And he was getting to his third, fourth, fifth, back to the first. I mean, he was going through his progressions. You could see it 2 and 3 times. And I agree. You know, you get your third progression and hit the back foot and go. You know,
just get moving.
Because that's what you're known for. That's what you're good at. So, but yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, he looked really stale, and the Chiefs put up 17 points in the first half, and that's where it stayed.
Yeah, they just never got back. What was it, 7? Was
like, I'm looking at the box score right now, and Kansas City put up 7 in the first quarter, 10 in the second quarter. No other points in the game. No third, fourth quarter. No second half points at all. Baltimore answered with a touchdown in the first, so it was tied 7-7 for a little bit.
I thought we were in for a barn burner at that point in time.
So let's look at that. You and I both said Ravens over. How wrong were we? Yeah, 17-10. 44.5 was the line the week before the game, and then I looked at it 5 minutes before game time, and the line did not change. So I think come playoff time, the line is pretty solid by then. So a total of 27 total points, and they were projecting 44.5 was the line.
We missed both of them.
Yeah, we were awful. We were like, don't trust us, kids. Uncle Terry and Uncle Adam aren't always good at picking sports stuff.
Yeah, we missed both of them. There's just no excuse for it.
I honestly did not see that coming. I've never seen the Ravens look so flat. Not this season.
No, they were the cream of the crop until now. How much of that? Spagnuolo kept him on his heels. He wasn't comfortable, but how much of that is just that the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes are just stone cold killers?
So I have some mixed feelings about this.
And by the way, before we get too deep into it, I'm tired of him already. Patrick can go away, and I'll never miss him. But
I'm a little concerned. Like the big story in the first half was Travis Kelce, 11 for 11. How's the guy so open all the time? I don't want to point my fingers at the refs, but there was a lot of holding calls that just kind of got glanced over, and it could have been a completely different game if a penalty was called when one should have been called.
And there was a lot of late activity that Kelsey was involved in. After the whistle's blown, jawing and chipping on each other with the shoulder pads and not quite pushing and shoving, but pretty close. And he was
instigating penalties for sure. Like he
Yeah.
was trying to get a reaction to get a penalty, and he was being a real dick.
And
I lost a lot of respect for him. Like I thought, okay, yeah, I listened to the New Heights podcast with Jason and him, and they're brothers. They're like having a good time talking
Right.
about sports and stuff, and they have their LeBron stat of the week and all these little segments that they do, which is quite funny.
Right.
But he was just very chippy, and he seemed really dirty. Like he didn't seem like he was having a good time. He just came out there to be like the evil guy, like villain.
It started before the kickoff, though. I mean, when the whole with the whole deal with the kicking triangle and him throwing the kickers, the Ravens kickers balls out of the end zone, and I mean, and then there was the thing on the sideline that neither Patrick nor Travis were involved in, where one of the chief players was deeply involved with, I don't know, like 9 or 10 of the Ravens players. Before they even started, it was like somebody decided they needed to get in the Ravens players' heads, and mission accomplished.
Yeah, and I think that like kind of psychological warfare really did change the game. Now, apparently, Ravens fans were just kind of like all chill at the beginning of the game. They're just like, it's just another day. We're the best. Yay! Nothing can go wrong for us. We're Ravens fans. Yay!
Right, yeah, and that was a weird championship game.
Very strange.
And we had Romo and Nance. Can Jim remind Tony anymore how much he loves him? Because it's like every quarter now, it's I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm getting tired of it.
So when they get towards the end of the season, I noticed Jim does this a lot more. It's because they get less broadcast time, so he wants to know, hey buddy, I love you. I mean, like soon as we get down to like our last couple episodes, we're just gonna have to do the bromance thing. We're just gonna be like, love you, buddy. We're running out of broadcast time. We can't say it enough.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we'll just Romo and Nance it up.
There you go.
And Romo showing absolutely zero respect anytime they show Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he does not acknowledge her. We've been through that in previous weeks with the prop bets, but it was a very apparent this week for sure.
Now for the Super Bowl, she's going. Her tour has her in Tokyo. To get to Las Vegas to watch the game, she's going to be on like a 19-hour flight after a show to get there.
Yeah, something like 13 hours is the flight from Japan to Vegas.
Are you going to make that a prop? Is she going to make it or not? Because
we'll see. We're going to do props next week. We're not going to do any props this week because a lot of things can change. It's a 2-week layover.
Give it a week to simmer and get the...
We gotta let all the experts chime in before us plebs, us peasants.
Yeah. So speaking of props, what did we get with the props this week?
So the Tay-Tay sightings. I mean, this one we know is going to happen. I think it's fun for the non-football fans, people that aren't necessarily tuning in for the game. 6.5 is the number that I put out there. I said under over 6.5. Okay, so this one you've got to like choose your own adventure here.
Are we counting the post-game celebration pictures of her or not? Yeah.
So in game, we saw her 6 times. If we want to talk post-game, we saw her an additional 4 times. Now, one more to add to that. If you want to talk about the big CBS intro to that game, we saw her an additional 3 times.
So this is, boys and girls, this is your house rule. Whichever you want to call in your house, we're going to back you on 100% and say that's the number we used. Yeah.
So the actual number in game was 6 times we saw her during playtime. So that was the first prop. So you guys can make up your own mind if we want to include the entire broadcast, if it's just during playtime. Whatever it may be.
Did you notice the one time the camera panned over to her and you could read her lips because somebody in the booth pointed that the camera was pointing at her, and you could read her lips going, "Please just go away."
I think she's done with it, to be honest. I don't think she actually wants the limelight. I think she just wants to support her boyfriend.
Right. And I mean,
and the NFL's made a bigger thing of it than it has to be.
Then that's what the NFL always does, though. That's what they do. I mean, that's the whole point about the NFL is, it's a sport. It's also a business, and it's a huge hype machine. So anything they like, well, for example, Patrick Mahomes, they like Patrick. He's getting all sorts of attention. If the league likes somebody, they prop them up. And they're propping up Tay-Tay because, she's bringing in a lot of her fans, people who normally wouldn't watch a lot of football. So
the other thing that I said, I didn't know if it was going to happen or not. And I was pretty sure that it wasn't going to happen because it happened the week before, was the shirtless Jason Kelsey. I figured he'd get reeled in by his wife or his mom or something.
Right.
We did not have a shirtless Jason Kelsey. I threw it out there, but we did have a sleeping Jason Kelsey.
Did we? I did, because I didn't see him in the box, so maybe I missed it.
Yeah, so there is a picture of him in the box where he's got his head like right down on his chest. He's like he used all his energy the week before.
Little nappy Jason. Okay.
Yeah, King Konging it out in Buffalo.
Well, what are you going to do? It's Buffalo. I mean.
So the other one that I had was someone dressed as a purple pimp.
Yeah, yep. That was, as soon as I saw him, I texted you. I was like, pimp sighting.
Yeah, and we hit that before kickoff, which was fantastic. I actually took a picture of it, sent it to a bunch of people. I was just like, listen to our podcast. I make good predictions. And then the other one that we talked about last week, and I have no idea why. I still have no idea why I threw this one in here. A gorilla.
You just had a vibe.
We didn't see a gorilla.
You just had a vibe, man. But I can see it. Somebody painting a gorilla purple and being a purple raven gorilla.
They're wild and like ravens. Like they have no rhyme or reason of like why they dress up as certain things. There was like 3 ladies in the crowd with like purple pimp hats on.
Yeah. It's well, maybe Baltimore is the nation's capital for women of the evening or something. I don't know.
Yeah, for purple pimps. Who knows?
I mean, sure, they wrote the national anthem there, so it's possible they were pimping stuff out in 1776.
The only other takeaway from that game is the Flowers taunting, which was such a kick in the dick to the team, like just to the Ravens organization, because you're struggling to come back from behind.
Yeah, and it looked like they kind of that catch, if he hadn't gotten flagged for that, if he'd just gotten up and walked back to the huddle, I wonder how the outcome of the game would have been, because that did seem to take away a little bit of momentum that the Ravens were building up.
Yeah, and then obviously, he takes that 15-yard personal foul, and then a couple plays later, he's going to the end zone. Ball gets smacked out of his hand just before he reaches the end zone. Ball goes through the back of the end zone. We're seeing that a lot in the playoffs these days.
And I was texting you at the time, and I get it. You want to score. This is a big game. Sometimes you're better off taking the tackle at the 1 and getting 4 downs and going at it again than try and stretch
But if he doesn't have that taunting penalty, that play never happens.
Right. That's true.
Right. So he did the damage to himself. I mean, there's a lot of discipline issues I saw with the playoff games this weekend, and we'll talk more about that.
Which is not
come our next game.
Which is not something you normally see from a Harbaugh coach team, whether it's Jim or his brother.
I was just quite shocked. Like the Ravens left their football brains on the bookshelf and came to work. Nothing seemed to be working for them. Kyle Hamilton was the only defensive player on the field for a lot of the game.
Yeah. And they got in Roquan Smith's head big time. They had him rattled so bad. Yeah, and Roquan's usually a much more controlled in control player. And they I don't know what they did, man, but they got in somebody's head about something, and they kept at it all the game long. Anything else with the Ravens and Chiefs game we need to talk about, or?
I don't think so. I mean, it could have been a game. It really could have been a real game, but I mean, let's take our hats off to the Chiefs as much as we're sick of them patrioting up. They came to play, and their defense, number 2 defense in the league in regular season, they stood up and they made just a mockery of the Ravens.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give them. I hate to, but you got to give them credit because they're steamrolling right now, and it'd be nice to have a postseason without seeing the same players every flipping year, but that's just me.
Just what it is.
Yeah. So that brings us to the next game of the day, Lions and Niners. We actually had a team that we don't usually see this late in the season, and they looked going into the game like they were going to be competitive and bring it down to the wire. And I was texting with my buddy, the Detroit fan, Chris Bratcher. And I said, Bratcher, the only chance I think the Lions have, they got to get to Purdy and they got to get him rattled. You got to make Purdy beat you.
Yeah.
And look what happened.
There was a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to look at the game, the boxed scores on this one before we get into it.
Yeah, but it started off.
Detroit had 24 points in the first half.
Yeah, they looked really strong and unstoppable, and then the Detroit fans started gloating.
Yeah, so halftime was a big change. Everybody started talking about Super Bowl halfway through the game, and I was just like, oh, I don't know about this now.
Yeah, don't
seems like
jinx
bad
it.
karma.
Don't jinx it, man. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, it's bad juju to do this. So yeah, it felt weird. Felt premature for sure. If they came out and they stopped San Francisco
right
after the first half, when going into the second half, they made a big stop,
and the Niners,
and they scored again,
and then
I'd say, okay, you can breathe a bit.
Right, but the Niners got the ball to start the second half, and they stopped them again.
Yep.
And you're thinking, this is it, the route's on, and that was the last gasp the Lions really had.
So the San Francisco 49ers scored 27 unanswered points.
And there was a lot of really weird things, like the possible interception that bounced off the Detroit cornerback's helmet that Debo grabbed in midair. There's no way to defend that. There's no way to foresee it. That was just a complete fluke play. The ball bounced the Niners' way.
Yeah, and there was a couple weird bounces that way.
And
but at the same time, there was a lot of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Downing the ball, trying to down the ball inside the 5-yard line, but having your foot in the end zone.
It's a huge mental lapse. That's a huge mental lapse.
Okay, not everything's going your way, but there was mistakes, and it was a mistake after a mistake after a mistake.
And then the biggest mistakes were the not going for the 2 field goals when you had them.
Okay, so I get the
analytics.
I get the analytics, and I get the whole mentality in Detroit. Like Dan Campbell is like, hang on to your diapers, folks. We're going for it on 4th down. That's been his mentality all year. Super aggressive. It's worked out for him, except for that Cowboys game where it backfired. But he needs to reel himself in a little bit and make game time adjustments. Instead of just saying, look at the balls on me. I need to have a wheelbarrow to carry these puppies around because I've got some big balls. When it's playoff time, you cannot leave points on the field.
When I was watching another, it was I think it was Rich Eisen's show. He compared them not going for the field goal and pushing for the 4th down to Brett Favre's interception against Minnesota when he was throwing for Minnesota in the last championship game before his career ended. It's okay to be the gunslinger on week 7, week 8, week 9. When you're in the playoffs, you got to take what's in front of you and got to take those points when you can. I don't care if it's 3 or 7. If you get a chance to take points, you take those points in the playoffs. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, if you're putting points on the board, then the other team can't catch up to you unless they're putting up bigger points. It's hard to catch up if you continually put points on the board, even if they're field goals.
Yep, especially when you're up with the lead they had.
They make those 2 field goals, chances are San Francisco doesn't put up the amount of points that they did because it's just another mountain to climb.
And it's a huge momentum swing when you
Right.
When you stop somebody on fourth down and get the ball back, like at the 35 and the 40-yard line, that's a huge momentum swing.
Yeah, like the game changes drastically if they put points on the board, or they don't have a fourth down stop and like, oh yeah, we defense did it. Okay, offense, go out and do your job, and everybody's hyped up.
Yeah,
and for no points, because that's huge. That's what you want to do. No points.
And then after the field goal, you get the ensuing kickoff. You're probably not getting up to the 35. You're probably starting to get at the 25. That's 10 yards. You just gave the Niners without points.
Yeah, just a lot of silly decisions, and I mean nobody expected the Lions to go as far as they did, but they had that game locked down in the first half, and they could have really done if they just had some discipline and could adapt to the game. Like, okay, San Francisco's coming on, they have life in the second half. Lions just shit the bed. They just absolutely shit the bed, and it's sad to see because I mean, there's, as I said last episode, a lot of Detroit fans around here. It for me, it's nice to see because I mean, it's a team that has not done anything for a very long time.
Well, and their offense, when they were getting stopped consistently by the Niners in the fourth quarter, there was a couple of flea flicker plays, and he was trying to get too cutesy, trying to catch the Niners defense off guard. And you know what? David Montgomery in the first half had huge numbers, and they went to another running back. Montgomery's a bell cow. Why didn't you put him in for more up plays in the second half than you did?
Yes, they should have just traded off with Montgomery and Gibbs constantly and just like saved them both, because one's fast, one's a power back. They could have just really worked off both of them just by giving them the exact same amount of time on the field.
But they kept Gibbs out there way too much.
They kept Gibbs out there because they wanted the speed.
Yeah.
He's a speedy guy. Like when he takes off, it's scary. Like, oh my God, he's going all the way. You think every time.
Yeah,
like how fast he is.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a lot of that breakaway stuff with the Niners defense. You're just not going to see it. So
no, and the Niners, like the resilience of them come back from 17-point deficit and to win that game after last season, like Purdy basically got his arm ripped off in the NFC Championship last year against the Eagles. Well,
and hats off to Purdy, because in the second half he did beat the Lions. I mean,
he used his legs more than Lamar did.
Yeah. He was the big deciding factor, as far as I can tell, for the Detroit Lions. They couldn't stop Purdy. They kept, the coverage in the secondary was really stout. The linebackers doing a really good job with the run game, and then there goes Purdy scooting for 35 yards.
As I said, I think the big downside for the Lions was, just Dan Campbell like listening to his balls instead of his brain. And not being adaptable and saying, okay, this is the playoffs. We have points sitting in front of us. Kicker can make it.
Take them.
Adapt to it and take the points. You have to take the points. Just as like we say on every game, we talk every week. You gotta get points off turnovers.
You got to.
You have to. And nobody listens. They're just like, oh yeah, we don't need the points that bad.
No.
We intercepted and got stopped at the 50, and that's just where we're going to stay.
And at the beginning of the show, the pregame show, this one was on Fox. Where was Terry Bradshaw? No Bradshaw for an NFC Championship game. The first time in 30 years?
Yeah. So they did say that he was sick, but they didn't say what. Like if he's.
But he missed some time earlier this year because he had surgery, I think. But that game was in San Francisco. Bradshaw lives in Los Angeles. I'm sure travel arrangements were handled by the network. Probably pretty plush travel arrangements. So that makes me wonder if he really was sick, because I don't picture him. I picture him, if he's got diarrhea, putting on a diaper and going up there and doing the show. He's not going to.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder, because as we've talked about frequently on our show, I mean, we're only in show number 5, but we talk about it a lot. The older broadcasters, like Al Michaels, for example, losing a step and losing a playoff broadcasting game. And Bradshaw, we've talked about it a lot, losing a step and just not being as sharp as he used to be. I'm wondering if maybe there was something more to it, like they'd had a talk with them and he says, you know what, fuck you, I'm going to show you and not show up.
Oh, who knows? We'll find out in the off season for sure.
I'm sure it'll leak out. Yeah,
but he's definitely, he can't complete a thought, which is really hard to watch. And then the panel's big enough as it is. They have like 5-6 guys as it is.
Well, Gronk counts for 2 all by himself.
Yeah, we got 2 with Gronk. I mean, he's actually doing two people's jobs. So
he's growing into the role fairly well too. He's really come along this season with his.
He's still got that meathead frat boy kind of mentality, but he is getting better.
Yeah, and Jimmy Johnson just needs to go away.
Oh, he is awful.
There's no analysis. He just cheerleads.
Is it just me? Is it just me and you, or is he just awful? I mean, unless you're a Cowboys fan, because that's all he talks about.
Well, no, it's okay if you're playing the Cowboys or the Cowboys are the game of the week. If you're
but the Cowboys don't even okay. So the Cowboys don't even exist as a team in the NFL anymore, and Jimmy Johnson's just going to be like when I was coaching the Cowboys.
Well. When I was it's like talking to your grandpa. When I was your age, we walked uphill both ways to school against the wind.
Yeah, no shoes.
And we were thankful. You kids today, he's just like this cheerleader, and it's like, Jimmy, bring some substance or shut the fuck up.
He doesn't bring anything. He always has to interject the Dallas Cowboys. And hey, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm sorry, we say some things on this show that,
some of it's deserved.
Get the rest of your public profile in check. You cool Cowboys fans, because I'm sure there are some cool ones out there. But the people that bleed blue and white, oh my God, they're not afraid to show it.
No, they're not, and
they're not afraid to be an asshole about it either. And Jimmy is like the epitome of that. Like he's the poster his child. Bias is ridiculous.
Yeah, he's the poster child. It's no wonder he and Jerry Jones didn't get along, because they're both too full of themselves.
Yeah, the bias is ridiculous. And as a broadcaster, I'm gonna go down this road again. But as they all have their teams that they affiliate with. But as a broadcaster, you have to be as unbiased as possible, especially for 2 unrelated teams. Like, okay, Gronk, your Patriots or your Bucks are playing, okay, you can say a couple things. Yeah, cool. That would have never happened when I was on the team. It's the culture's changed there. Okay, I get that. That's actually a fairly unbiased opinion.
That's in context.
Yeah. But Jimmy Johnson, he's living like the Cowboys still have a chance at the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, no, it's I can see him out on the boat fishing and the line breaks. When I was coaching the Cowboys.
Yeah. Emmitt Smith would have never let that line break. Right?
Yeah. So Jimmy, just shut up. There's a
Fox, if you're listening, just please give us some new commentators in the booth.
Yeah, Howie's okay.
I like Howie Long.
But Terry's lost a step. Jimmy just needs to go away. And the talent gap between Howie and Michael and Jimmy and Terry, that gap is as big as the gap in Strahan's teeth.
I like the whole Strahan Gronk rivalry. They don't like each other.
There's something going on there. You watch their body language, and they're rarely facing each other. And Strahan usually turns his back to Gronk when he's talking. I mean, they're kind of mucking it up a little bit once in a while, probably to dispel the rumors that there's a problem between the two of them. But you just watch their body language, and there's something going on between those two. Yeah,
it's fun to watch. I have a feeling it has to do with those Eli New England Super Bowls, to be honest. But
yeah, could be because the Giants did go in there and shut them down the one year when the Patriots were going to be undefeated.
Yeah, the 16-0 season.
Yeah, that was so that's possible. And Strahan, he should not be the guy doing the awards ceremony after the game. He is terrible with a live crowd.
Yeah, the live look on him was not very good. And then the way he was just bringing in every 49er, he was like, Brock Purdy, what do you got to say? And he's got this list because of the gap in his teeth. And it doesn't sound great over a loudspeaker, like over a main PA system. It sounds worse. And I mean, Michael Strahan, you're excellent broadcaster, but just I don't know why they chose you to do the live show.
Yeah, he's a good commentator. He's good at analyzing games. He's good at breaking things down. But as you know, because you've done it, standing in front of a crowd with a microphone, you're basically a traffic cop. You're directing traffic, and that is not an easy skill. Both you and I have done it. I mean, I think the biggest crowd I've been in front of with a mic in my hand was 4,000 people, and it's intimidating. But you have to be level-headed. You have to be even keel, and you got to. I think Michael thought he was part of the proceedings, and you're not that. You're a traffic cop. You're just directing traffic. You're just keeping things moving forward, and that's the way you got to think about it. Is I'm just here to keep things moving. And
he cut a lot of people off. He was just like, "Oh, George Kittle, what do you have to say?" And George was still talking. He pulled the mic away from him.
Yeah,
I was just like, was George swearing or what was going on? Like,
you need to know that's the other part of the job, and this is one of the things that Al Michaels did well in his heyday was knowing when to shut up and let the moment speak for itself.
Yeah,
and that was one of the things Al Michaels was really good at. I mean, after like the 1980s hockey game for the Team USA. Do you believe in miracles? And then he shut up and let the crowd do all the talking for him. You gotta know when to do that, and I admit it's not a skill everybody comes by naturally, knowing when to shut up.
Definitely not. And I mean, he was already out there on the field anyway, with like on the sideline,
right.
With their big broadcasting malfunction where they didn't have any lights for a while.
Their pavilion, yeah.
Yeah, their pavilion didn't have any lights for a good 5 or 6 minutes at the halftime report, and then it all came on at once, and you saw them like vampires go.
Oh, the lights.
Yeah.
I know. We already covered the game, but that was a weird momentum swing attempt in the Ravens game when they turned all the lights off and brought in Terrell Suggs.
Yeah, that was another. Yeah, that was another weird.
Yeah, I'm sure they got a letter from the league going, "We're not going to do that again. Introduce all your people at once."
Yeah, they brought him in at like third quarter too. It was just really, it was a really odd, weird time. And so, sorry for jumping back, but that was the Chiefs Ravens game, guys. Sorry,
you brought up the lights, and it reminded me. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the halftime report on Lions Niners, they didn't have any lights, and they were in the dark, and everybody was shadowed really bad. And then all of a sudden the lights came on, and like all their hands went up in front of their eyes, like, ah.
Come on, guys, you're better than that. You're professionals.
Like they were vampires. I've never seen that happen before.
Yeah. Okay, what were the props we had for the Niners Lions?
Okay, so last week I threw some fun props out for this game because Lions fans I felt were going to travel well, and they did. But I really kind of wanted to hit home. I was trying to get that honorary captain coin flip thing going on because my previous prediction wasn't good the week before. So I said my previous prediction was Barry Sanders or Megatron for the coin flip at the Lions game. And it never happened, and we couldn't find any footage of the coin flip. They didn't show us who flipped the coin. But this week I said Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, at the coin toss, either one or both of them. What did we get? We got Joe Montana and Barry Sanders.
And Jerry was at the game because they showed him on the sideline.
Yeah, they showed him drinking
Gronk.
his wine.
She was on the sidelines yucking it up with Gronk. So
we just didn't see if he was at the coin flip. That's all.
Yeah. So what was the other prop?
B-roll of the Golden Gate Bridge. We did. I had that at 1.5. We did get 2. We saw 2 Golden Gates.
Hit the over.
So we hit the over. Disgruntled 49ers fans. I had 4.5. Not knowing how this game was going to go down.
Right. Right. But we both picked the Lions in the over. So
yeah, we picked the Lions in the over, but we did see 2 disgruntled Niners fans in the first half. After that, everybody was very cheery and happy.
Well, sure, they started winning.
So we hit the under 4.5. This one, I said a lion in the stands, not a real lion, someone dressed up as a lion. We did not see an adult dressed up as a lion, but there was a baby.
Yeah, that was a really cute little baby.
That had a lion's costume on, where the mouth was where the face came out, and it had a Detroit Lions jersey. So one baby and I had that marked at a half, so it's either going to happen or it didn't.
And
I'm going to say a baby's a half a person.
You're calling this a draw?
It could be a draw. It could be a draw, depending on how you feel about that. But the baby was cute.
So when does life start for you? At conception? What?
Well, about half the size of a full person, right?
Okay,
So
all
you know,
right.
I don't think they charge them for tickets.
So if somebody took the over, are you paying them out or not?
I don't know. You'll have to figure that out. These are just prop games, man. Nobody's taking bets with me. I'm just throwing them out there so that you can have fun with your friends and family at home.
Boys and girl, I guess that one's a dealer's choice then, according to Adam.
Yeah. So it's a choose your own adventure again on that one. Sorry, guys. I don't know what to make of it. I did not see a full-grown adult as a lion. I did not see a lion. I did not see a woman in her 30s or 40s prowling on younger men.
No cougars.
Yeah, so that was it for that. So that was the end of the props. As I said, we're not going to do any props this week. Next week we're going to come back and we're going to do a Super Bowl for Dummies-esque show where we'll do a whole bunch more props because it's only one game, so we probably get like 5 or 6 props in for that game. Some fun ones.
Yeah, and we have the there's a lot going on. I just heard from Coach K. He's commuting right now. I'm not going to give him the 45 minutes he's asking for.
He wants 45 minutes? Yeah, we don't
got
got that much time, but we can talk about like we are going into Pro Bowl weekend. I know that's not a big spot for a lot of people. They have changed the format of it over the years. It's now a flag football game.
Which kind of sucks for the linemen. You know, those big tank guys, they're not out there cutting and jumping.
Yeah, it's a 7. They do 3 7-on-7 games. There's no defensive players anymore, really.
Well, it kind of wasn't much defense the last few years they were playing regular.
No, they've been just kind of playing a little grab ass and just pushing off on each other, and that's fine. Like, nobody wants to get hurt. Especially when your season's over, your season's over. If you're going to the Super Bowl, there's no way you're playing in a Pro Bowl.
Yeah, that was part of the problem. A lot of people, because let's face it, the best players are on the best teams most of the time, and they would nominate them for the Pro Bowl, and then they would bow out because they didn't want to risk getting hurt before the game.
So we got a lot of that. I did look up the Pro Bowl players, and I can tell you that a lot of them will not be going to the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl is an ESPN event. It starts Thursday from 7 p.m. Eastern to 8:30, and you get some skills competitions. They have precision passing. That's the one where they try to throw it into the different targets that are all labeled at a different point rate.
Right. They got the one moving at the far back, and they got to hit the target.
Yeah. They've got the barrels and the big trampolines and everything, and the larger targets.
Can we get Jimmy Johnson at about the 30 and tie his hands to his belt and
tie him to the drone?
And they've got to hit Jimmy in the head or it doesn't count. I would like to see that.
They got the best catch competition where the receivers can kind of set up their own sort of trick catches where like some of them were using like trampolines and shit last year. So that's kind of a fun one to watch. Closest to the pin is another game. High stakes dodgeball, of course. The dodgeball game's always a fun one to watch. And then they have kick-tack-toe. Which I like. I like that one. So they have a giant tic-tac-toe board, and the kickers go shot for shot, trying to score a tic-tac-toe across the board. So that one's kind of interesting. That one's fun. So that's just an hour and a half on Thursday night, and then on Sunday from 3 till 6. They come back with more skills competitions and then their flag football game, their 7-on-7 flag football game, which is kind of like a skills competition in itself. It's not really a full-length game. They have on Sunday a Madden NFL head-to-head, so a bunch of guys are going to go head-to-head playing video games.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Madden guy. I loved Madden, the coach and the announcer. And I'm not a video game player, so I admit that I'm not a big gamer. But he's been gone 10 years now already. At what point in time do we go? Okay, we got to cut Madden. No more Madden stuff for.
I don't know. Maybe they name it the Mahomes NFL. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, because
the Tony Romo.
Because they're, let's face it, their audience is skewing younger and younger, and Madden is just going farther and farther into history.
Well, maybe they leave the name for good. They turn it into something like the Lombardi Trophy, right?
Right.
I mean, he's been gone for. It's kind of iconic, right?
Yeah. Well, that's true. You know what? I'm okay with them renaming the Lombardi Trophy to the Madden Trophy, just because I don't
the Madden. But the Raiders have to win the Super Bowl before that happens.
No. Just get rid of the fucking Green Bay tie-in for me, and I'm good.
So then they have a gridiron gauntlet. It's a kind of like a American Gladiators kind of battle. That was fun to watch last year. They do a tug of war, which is all the linemen, which is kind of fun. Move the chains was one that they brought in last year, and you actually have to take all the weights off of the sled and move the sled. The thing's weighed down with thousands of pounds of lead weights, and basically entire AFC, NFC teams have to take all the weights off and then push this sled across the field to the finish line.
Okay, well that sounds cool.
So yeah, there's some fun games.
They
don't last very long, so
they're out there playing. They're not. It's not serious.
The name of the game, it's more for the players to kind of have a festival where they get to hang out with other players and just get
to relax and to let your hair down from the long season you just went through.
Yeah, it's kind of a resort treatment for NFL players almost. So
good for them. What kind of coaching moves have we seen here this week? Anything other than Bill Belichick being he's going to be without a chair when the music stops.
Pulling the Bernie Sanders. Yeah. So
that was a little bit of a shock. I was really thinking that he was going to go that way.
So Ken Dorsey was signed to Cleveland earlier, either yesterday or today, as the offensive coordinator, which I think is the biggest Cleveland move ever.
Well, yeah, he's pretty.
If you look at Ken Dorsey, he was the OC for the Buffalo Bills, and as soon as they fired him, Buffalo did not lose.
Well, yeah, so we're gonna have to wait and see if
until Kansas City put them out, but that was actually just a field goal game. So I mean, mistakes were made, but I don't think that's on the OC.
So we need to see if he's going to get Deshaun killed the way he tried to kill.
Yeah,
because Deshaun's not quite as sturdy as our boy in Buffalo.
No, he's not as resilient for sure, and that's very adamant. I didn't see any more real notable coaching changes this week. I know there's a lot of interviews going on
now that there are only 2 teams left in the round robin tournament. Everybody can be interviewed by anybody except for the coaching staff on those 2 teams at the Super Bowl.
Apparently, they can be interviewed as well.
They can be interviewed for this week, but after Saturday, no more interviews.
Yeah, so there's a deadline. But yeah, there's going to be this week is they can be interviewed, which I'm against it, to be honest. I don't think.
Well, and I'm sure their organizations are against it too, but there was too many qualified coordinators.
It's league rules, they have to do it for a certain through a certain timeline or whatever. It's not just you should be focused on the Super Bowl if you're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but the argument was, let's say the offensive coordinator from the Chiefs, Matt Nagy. Sucker. But Nagy was up for the Chicago job. They interviewed him during that interim week. That's the people who are our coordinators on those championship teams have a shot at getting the good jobs. I'm not calling the Bears a good job. I'm just saying to advance out of their coordinator position into a head coaching position. That's why that 1 week window of you can interview then it was installed. But no, head coaches don't like it. Belichick was very public with his dislike of it.
Yeah, so there's a theory right now that I don't know how true it is. It seems far-fetched to me, but Belichick could be the next Kansas City Chiefs coach.
Yeah, that was an article I read, and I think I sent it to you. The theory postulated by somebody, was it from sportsbench.com?
I think it's Adam Schefter. He was speculating.
But the speculation goes as follows, boys and girls. The Chiefs win the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Andy Reid says, you know what? I'm one of the greatest coaches of all times. I'm tired. I'm going to go ahead and retire. That's the speculation. And then the Kansas City Chiefs organization put Bill Belichick in Andy Reid's place, and the Chiefs just continue to steamroll.
Yeah, I don't...
That's quite a stretch, because I don't think Andy Reid's ready to quit myself.
It's so far-fetched. But who knows?
I think Travis Kelce is closer to quitting than Andy Reid.
Yeah, so I apologize to Travis, even though he was a little bit of a dick this week on the field. I said he was missing a step last week, and
he passed.
Wow, he must have been listening, because he proved me wrong.
What do you mean he must have been? They're all listening to this show all the time because they keep doing shit to make us look wrong. It happens a lot.
I thought he'd missed a step, and he went 11 for 11. Now we didn't see him in the second half because there was no need to. Apparently, Kansas City's defense did a good job,
and he passed up Jerry Rice for playoff receptions, the record.
Yeah, so he's gonna. I don't know. I think he's gonna stay in the league a little bit longer. Now he's gonna see how many records he's so close to attaining.
Yeah. Some guys do that. They just keep chasing records. I think that's what Belichick is doing, is chasing records.
He's got like 13 more wins he needs or something like that to be the most all-time winning coach or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, chasing records. I don't know. Mahomes is getting close too.
Mahomes isn't even 30 yet.
Yeah, well, there's another theory about him and how he's already broken Tommy Boy's record under 30. So
right. So he's going to keep chasing. We'll talk about that next week. We got plenty of time next week. Boys and girls, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. You can find me on X at TREMUP, at TREMUP. Adam?
Yeah, on X, Adam Off the Couch. And be sure to tune in with us next week. We're going to have a Super Bowl for Dummies-esque type show. We're going to talk about the two teams that are playing, what the odds are, what the lines are, and we're going to be back with some fun prop bets. I promise you that.
So that's it for Straight Off the Couch for this week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Adam, where can the boys and girls find us at?
Oh yeah, the boys and girls, the nieces and nephews can all find us on the Book of Faces. Just look up Straight Off the Couch, and all our podcasts will be available on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, and all the good places you get your podcasts.
So, boys and girls, thanks for tuning in. Be safe. God bless. Bye-bye, everybody.